Welcome back everyone to the Torchlight Infinite Vorax season preview. I'm Andre, your community manager. This is shaping up to be one of the most extensive previews we've ever done. We're rolling out a new seasonal mechanic, a new hero, a brand new crafting system, 2 reworked hero traits, many overhauled damage systems, reworked legendaries, major updates to defensive options, a major UI overhaul, and tons more. Today, there's gonna be a lot to cover. Let's get to it.
I mean, that's quite some changes.
So very sick, aren't you? Now let me fix you all up. A snipper here and a snip there. We'll piece you back together again.
Alright, let's get into the meat of the update, the Vorax gameplay loop. First, Netherrealm Collection. As you clear Netherrealm stages, you'll fight monsters infected with Vorax syndrome. Defeating them grants Vorax Substance, the currency for this season's mechanic. Phase 2 is Surgical Preparation. Spend Substance to open the Preparation interface, where 6 incubation tanks represent different monster families. Your goal here is to juice these tanks to manipulate their stats. Quantity, rarity, and most importantly, activity. You can use various surgical instruments and potions to modify these mobs. You can fuse them, mutate them, or cull the weak to buff the strong. It all comes down to one stat, ultimate activity. The higher the total activity across your tanks, the better the loot drops are when you fight the corresponding monsters. Different monsters have different mechanics you can exploit. For example, the Agito rely on awakened mechanics. By using items related to neural functions, you can scale their difficulty and rewards based on intelligence stats. The Pests specialize in reproduction, otherwise known as pack density. If you want a screen filled with hundreds of mobs for massive kill count bonuses, focus on the Pests. To really push the limits, look out for incubation elixirs. These are race-specific power-ups. For example, the Hollow Cocoon for the Pest race triggers a chain reaction, granting a sequence of potions that grow stronger each round and eventually spike ultimate activity. Every race, from Agitos to Bone Sentries, has its own unique god roll sequence to chase. The third phase is a surgery. You've prepped your tanks, now it's time to fight your creations. This is a combat encounter where you enter an arena and face off against the custom monstrosities you just built. As you defeat them, you fill antidote vials that determine your reward tiers. The more you fill the vial, the better the payout. And a quick warning, keep an ear out for this sound. That signals a scavenger. He's a rare invader. He's fast, tanky, and he hits hard. He can interrupt your run, but if you take him down, he drops high-value loot. Do not let him escape. For the players who want to push their builds to the limit, we're adding scalpels. These are Netherrealm enhancers that don't take up your standard compass slots. For example, the Titanium Alloy Scalpel. It cranks up the difficulty by attracting more scavengers and elites, but it drives the reward scaling through the roof. Alright, let's talk about the new crafting system. We call it grafting. It's the most flexible crafting system we've ever added. It lets you combine stats that usually can't exist on the same item. During the Vorax mechanic, you'll find Vorax limbs. These are your crafting bases. They come with unique implicit stats that are totally different from normal gear drops. Once you have a base, you use items like organs to add affixes. Now here's the first big change. Vorex gear ignores attribute pools. For example, you can roll energy shield on dexterity gear. On top of that, certain Vorex gear slots share the same affix pool when adding ultimate affixes, giving you far more freedom to mix and match stats that usually don't go together. Wanna be unkillable? We've grafted armor, evasion, and energy shield all onto a single chest armor. Pair that with dual Kismet headless and chest defense scaling, and you're not wearing armor anymore. You're a walking fortress. But the real star of this season, legendary grafting. You can now take a piece of legendary gear, break it down, and extract its unique power. We call this a core organ. Then you can graft that legendary power onto your Vorex rare gear. There are basically two rules. 1. You can have up to 2 legendary mods.
I'm gonna be drowning in this.
2. There are no slot restrictions. Now let me give you some examples of how this changes build making. Let's take a life consume build. Crimson King is essential for damage, but everyone wants that massive max life bonus usually found on Martyr staff. Now normally you have to choose between damage and survivability. But now with grafting, we can rip out that max life mod straight out of the armor and put it right into your weapon. Now you merge the lethality of Crimson King with the tankiness of Martyr staff in a single build. Keep the damage, gain the life, and solve the tankiness problem. Now let's look at a whirlwind build. It usually makes you move slowly. Usually you have to sacrifice damage to fix that. But with grafting, you can take the mobility charge from the Elegy of Immortality and put it on your helmet. Now, your movement skills refresh constantly while you spin. Need hotbar space? Trigger Bull's Rage from Frozen Flame or Frost Shield from Burning Ice on belts or boots. Easily auto-casting buffs with no ring tags. And attack builds get really crazy because they are no longer locked onto one pair of legendary gloves. When I play a build that runs Death's Touch, Ghost Slaughter, and Stray Birds Return, well, now you can.
I guess it's time to try Erika finally.
There is one final step for the brave. You can take your Vorex gear to the blacksmith for Vorex corrosion. This is a big gamble. If you hit the right outcome, you can upgrade your affixes. Legendary mods can hit tier 0, and normal grafted mods can even go higher, hitting tier 0 plus.
Nah, man, too much. Holy fuck, too much.
Deadeye Erika is getting a brand new hero trait, Vendetta's Sting. This is a darker version of Erika who was captured and held as a showpiece by Imperial nobles. Now she's escaped, reclaimed her claws, and is out for revenge. This trait is built entirely around 2 things, proximity and speed. This is a high risk, high reward mechanic. The closer you are to your enemy, the more damage you deal. To help you stay in close range, she has some of the best mobility in-game. But here's the cool part, you don't just use mobility to move, you use it to kill. As you unlock her traits, her movement skills will automatically trigger your main attack skills. That means you don't need to stop moving to swing your weapon. Just dash through the pack and the attacks happen automatically. It creates this incredibly fast, fluid playstyle where you're constantly zipping between enemies, dealing burst damage without ever standing still. Now, we realized during testing that this playstyle is kinda, intense. Because she moves so fast, the camera effects can be a bit disorienting for some players. So we added a new quality of life feature specifically for this trait. You can go into your battle settings and toggle the camera slow motion effect. If the high-speed visuals are making you dizzy, just turn that on and you have a stable, clear view of the action while you tear through the map. If you like speed, burst damage, and playing right on the edge of danger, Vendetta Sting is the trait for you. Now, if melee isn't really your style, spellcasters are getting a brand new mechanic called Tangle. Usually, playing a spellcaster means spamming a button or relying on spell burst. Tangle works differently. Think of it as a parasite mechanic. Instead of casting the spell at the enemy, you plant the spell inside them. Once the Tangle is attached, it effectively auto-casts a spell on that target over and over again for the entire duration.
Oh,
You
what the
tap
fuck,
them,
that's dope.
and the damage keeps rolling. And the best part, it spreads. When your target dies, the Tangle doesn't disappear.
It's really
It jumps to
dope.
the next nearest enemy and keeps working. Let's look at how this changes some classic skills. Chromatic Shot usually requires good positioning to hit all your projectiles.
What the f...
With the Tangle variant, it locks on. You get perfect accuracy without trying. Ice Lance basically turns the enemy into an automatic frost turret.
Maybe not Erika after all?
It's like a machine gun that
Still
fires
Thea?
itself. Chain Lightning. If you stick tangles on a group of enemies, each tangle triggers its own chain lightning. The bolts bounce back and forth between the targets. It absolutely melts high-density packs. To scale Tangle, focus on two stats. First, Tangle Quantity. This lets you infect more enemies at once. Second, Tangle Stack Limit. This lets you stack more tangles on a single target, crucial for single target boss damage. Keep an eye out for new legendaries, such as Old Grudge. This necklace boosts Tangle Quantity and Duration as a solid starter option. Later, Malign Embrace greatly increases critical strike damage for faster clears. For melee players, we're expanding the combo skill system with new moves and new scaling options. Gale Slash focuses on mobility. The opener is a two-stage dash that cuts through enemies, followed by a leap attack finisher for heavy damage. Slotting the new noble support Soaring greatly extends the travel distance, letting you leap across large
Nice
portions
UI
of the
looks, to be
screen.
fair.
Spectral Slash opens with a wide sweep that marks enemies. Its finisher summons up to 5 clones that leap to mark targets. Two new supports change how it plays. The Legion support doubles clone count based on nearby enemies for faster clear. The Synchrony support lines clones behind you, slamming in unison to create a focused shockwave. To tie it all together, we're adding Shockwave Warcry, a skill build for combo setups. It taunts nearby enemies and scales finisher damage based on how many are affected. Each successful finisher stacks bonus damage and area of effect, rewarding players who keep the combo going. To support all these new builds, we're adding a batch of new legendaries. Here are a few of the highlights. First is a chest armor called Silent Avowal. This is one for the block-based tanks. Its main gimmick is that it reverses your block chance and block ratio. It forces you to balance your stats carefully. When attack and spell block chance are the same, it will provide a high block ratio. If they are unequal, the higher value gets the lucky property, meaning the game rolls twice and gives you the better result. On top of that, it scales your damage and reduces incoming damage over time based on how high your block stats are. If you want to build a beefy blocker, then this is your chest armor. Next,
Oh god.
we have another chest piece called Futile Trade-Off. This is designed for the min-maxers who want to stack a single main stat to the moon. It gives you a huge bonus to one main stat, but lowers your other main stats in exchange. It also has a unique defensive layer. If your total main stats stay below a threshold, you get a flat reduction to incoming elemental damage. It's perfect for specialized builds that don't need to be well-rounded to work. Finally, for the summoners, we have the Iron and Bloom Helmet. This unlocks multi-strike for your minions. It gives them a base multi-strike count and ramps up their damage with every hit in the sequence. And if you land the right corrosion, it upgrades the item so that, based on your minion's command or growth, attacks have a chance to bypass the ramp up and instantly deal damage equal to the max multi-strike count. It turns your minions into burst damage machines. Next, let's talk about balance. This season isn't just about new content. It's a massive overhaul of the underlying systems. We have revamped 2 hero mechanics, 3 damage systems, tweaked some legendaries, and updated a ton of defensive options. The headline feature this season is a full rework of the ailment system. Previously, ailment builds were restrictive and unclear, so we rebuilt them from the ground up. First, base ailment damage now has a variable range, just like your hit damage. This means stats like chance to inflict ailment are much more important now. You need to balance 3 things: chance, duration, and hit count. Change number 2. Ailment stacks have been standardized to improve clarity and game performance. Wilt is now capped at 50 stacks. Trauma is fixed at 1 stack. Ignite now starts at 1 stack and can scale up to 4 through progression and items. To help you hit these caps, we've buffed specific legendaries. Take the helmet's Sun's Embrace. It gives +1 to your Ignite limit and adds extra stacks. This is now best in slot for breaking that fire damage ceiling. Then look at the glove's Chaos Abyss. When enemies are affected by less than 50 wilt stacks, it doubles your duration. This makes it way easier for slower skills to maintain maximum stacks. Change number 3. Gear affixes. We've simplified how you get damage on gear. You will now see explicit affixes like adds base trauma damage. This decouples ailments from skill multipliers, making the math way cleaner. We also moved these mods to lower tiers on weapons, so it's much cheaper to craft your starter weapons. Change number 4. The endgame shift. Here is the biggest change to build crafting. Conversion. New legendary affixes will allow you to convert a percentage of your added flat damage into base ailment damage. For example, look at the Evil Heart armor. It converts your raw flat damage into ailment damage. This opens up huge build diversity. You can now play an armor stacker, a life stacker, or an attribute stacker, and use that raw power to scale a dot build. You aren't forced to use specific dot skills anymore. If you can stack flat damage, you can play ailments. The goal is smoother early game progression while also allowing for much more build freedom in the endgame. Next, let's look at how we've overhauled explosion mechanics to make them consistent across all builds. Previously, explosion damage scaled your character's damage stats. This created a large gap where, some builds could wipe entire screens instantly while others barely felt the effect. In the Vorax season, explosions now deal fixed true damage. This damage does not scale with your damage modifiers. Your damage and additional damage stats no longer affect explosion damage. As a result, explosions shift from a scaling damage source to a pure utility tool, creating a more level playing field across builds. We also took a look at the freeze and frostbite mechanics. In previous seasons, frostbite and freeze were, kinda messy. The math behind application rate and duration was overly complex. It felt less like a unique mechanic and more like just another generic damage boost. For Vorax, we completely rebuilt freeze. First, simplified progression. We deleted the clutter. Stats like frostbite rating inflicted, frostbite rating per second, and freeze duration are gone. Instead, frostbite rating is now a simple bar on the enemy. The base cap is 10 points. You can upgrade this cap through gear and passives up to 100 points. Damage scaling. Here is why you want that number high. Every point of frostbite rating increases the cold damage the monster takes. It's a direct damage multiplier. The higher the bar, the harder you hit. When frostbite rating hits 100, the monster freezes. Now, this works differently than before. Instead of completely immobilizing the target, which usually causes issues with boss phases, the new freeze seals their actions periodically. Think of it as a massive stutter or interruption effect. It keeps the enemy locked down enough to be safe, while still ensuring the fight mechanics can still play out properly. Naturally, with the freeze system getting a total overhaul, we had to update Gemma too, aka Frostbitten Heart. She takes a new system beyond its limits. While most characters are capped at 100 frostbite rating, Gemma can exceed it. Any frostbite rating over 100 is converted into a new effect called Glacial Night, a powerful debuff that further increases cold damage taken and heavily slows enemy movement, attack, and cast speed. This cements her role as a premier crowd control damage dealer. We've also adjusted her signature Cold Pulse. Its release frequency is now adjustable, letting you tune it for fast clearing with rapid pulses, or slower, heavier pulses for sustained buffs during boss fights. Spacetime Elapse Yoga is also getting a massive rework. We heard the feedback. It kind of felt slow, fragile, and his damage ramp up didn't match the pace of the game. This update brings him up to speed. First, we improved the actual feel of his signature skill, Twisted Spacetime, and increased the area by 30%. We also cut the activation interval in half, from 4 seconds down to 2 seconds. This makes the damage feel much snappier. Crucially, we expanded what Twisted Spacetime can record. It now records damage over time, ripping damage, and rip purification damage. This is a game changer for build variety. You aren't locked into hit-based builds anymore. You can run full dot or rip setups and still get the massive multipliers Yoga is famous for. Finally, we reworked his level 60 trait to fix his survivability issues. When you deal damage over time, you now gain stacks of Torment. Each stack of Torment additionally increases damage over time dealt. While Twisted Spacetime is active, you gain additional damage reduction. Overall, Yoga is faster, tankier, and far more flexible than ever before. We've also updated several current existing skills to better fit the current meta. First up, Ring of Blades received a major scaling pass. Its damage bonus now scales directly with your channeling stacks limit, and a base damage buff pushes its endgame ceiling much higher. Its exclusive supports were also reworked. Blade formation now scales directly with your projectile quantity. If you stack additional projectiles, you increase the density of the blade spinning around you. It turns the skill into a monster for map clearing. Razor Edge now uses her channeling stacks to scale projectile speed. Higher speed means the blades spin further out, drastically increasing her effective area of effect. Scorching Beam was adjusted to address long-range damage falloff. The explosion radius at maximum stacks has been increased from 3 meters to 5 meters, making it easier to overlap explosions on a single target. To support this change, we redesigned its support skill, Disintegrate. It now ties directly into the reworked ailment system. The damage scales based on the number of ignite stacks on the target. We've already shown how Evil Heart Armor and Chaos Abyss are reshaping the ailment meta. But one more classic is getting a major update, Broken Sun Ring. This ring has been reworked to support Steep Strike, Shadow Strike, and Demolisher builds. Its new core mechanic Solar Ring treats enemies as if they are closer than they actually are, letting you benefit from close range damage bonuses while staying at a safer distance. If you push it further with Corrosion, you can unlock Corona. This causes all enemies inside the ring to be treated as within 3 meters of you, which pairs extremely well with Erika's new trait. Let's talk defense and survivability. There's been a clear gap between archetypes. Attack builds that can stack armor and war cries feel extremely tanky, while magic builds often struggle to survive, especially in the endgame. This update is closing the gap. We've increased the caps on affixes that convert physical and erosion damage into elemental damage. This is major for spellcasters and energy shield builds. Instead of forcing armor into builds that don't support it, you can now redirect incoming damage into elemental resistances, which are much easier to cap. We've also addressed Energy Shield's biggest weakness, damage over time. A new ultimate affix has been added to intelligence-based armor. If your Energy Shield exceeds 8000, you can gain additional damage over time mitigation. With enough investment, Energy Shield builds can now counter dot damage. Next up, defensive talents on belts. We're making it cheaper to build up your defenses. In the past, getting top tier defensive talents like Full Defense, Panacea, or Master Escapist meant buying expensive, double-rolled divinity slates. Now you can get these talents on your belt through the blending system. This frees up your divinity slates for offensive stats and lowers the budget required to get your survivability up and running. That covers the changes to builds and existing systems. Now let's talk about where you're actually gonna use them. The Supreme Showdown is getting a brand new boss. Floor 20 introduces a brand new Supreme boss, the All-Seeing Prophet. Lore-wise, he has gathered eyes from across the realms to see everything at once, trapping himself in a paradox. Mechanically, the fight is all about eye management. The white eyes are your power source. Collect them to gain strength. The dark eyes are death zones. Avoid them at all costs. This encounter is going to be testing positioning, awareness, and reaction speed. Floor 21 brings a familiar nightmare back to the top of the Supreme Showdown. Night Slayer, the Wilting Plume, returns from the land of the dead, fully buffed and upgraded, ready to stat check the strongest builds in the game. The Supreme Showdown mechanics have also rotated, with energy bombs making their return. Holding the bomb provides a major damage boost, but remember to throw them at the boss before they detonate. Next up, the overrealm is going core. Along with it, we are introducing new tools to make the overrealm smoother, faster, and more profitable. First, new exclusive compasses to customize your realm. If you want to reduce time spent in the overrealm and are confident in the strength of your build, you might want to try the Control Overrealm Compass. It spawns more monsters carrying Bottle Shadow, but removes the reverse clock. The Containment Overrealm Compass addresses the frustration of getting stuck on a floor. This compass gives you a chance to drop a compulsory containment key, which can be used to force open the door to the next level. We've also added a dedicated Netherrealm talent tree for Overrealm. You can now customize exactly what you want to farm. You can toggle talents to show special objects, such as a floating skull, anti-mimetic cage, and gatekeeper on your minimap. You can spec into talents that give rare monsters and bosses a chance to revive. Double the kills, double the loot. Now, if you are particularly fond of the Overrealm exclusive treasures, such as Solid River and Inverse Image, there's an even more extreme talent available. You can give up the chance to acquire Bottle Shadow in the Overrealm, in exchange for an increased probability of encountering the Doorkeeper on every floor. Combined with the talent that grants the Doorkeeper a chance to summon the Door Hunter upon revival, it ensures that the Door Hunter is no longer just a beautiful legend. Additionally, you can utilize Netherrealm talents to manipulate Overrealm disturbances, block specific unwanted ones, and simultaneously increase the probability of other Overrealm disturbances appearing. Next up, Ethereal Prisms. After watching how players have been using them, the testing phase is officially over. Ethereal Prisms are graduating from experimental and becoming a permanent system. We're not just keeping them though, we're refining them. First, we've overhauled the crafting rules. Prisms no longer have a fixed influence shape. Now, the first craft affix allows you to customize the shape and area of influence. letting you slot that prism exactly where you need it. We also heard your feedback about the risks of crafting. We've added a new option to the third affix slot. Do not replace original core talent. This is a huge quality of life change that lets you craft aggressively without worrying about accidentally overwriting the key talent that defines your build. For players who want consistency over risk, we're adding the Ethereal Prism Phantasmagoria. This version never modifies core talents and instead purely enhances crafted affix effects, making it the most reliable way to scale passive power. We've also expanded the core talent pool to open up some wild new build possibilities. For the summoners out there, look at Commander's Gambit. This grants your minions unprecedented power. Now, when you receive a blessing, your minions get it too, simultaneously. And the best part, their limit is double yours. For evasion-based players, we've reworked Adaptive Defense. It now provides injury buffer and deflection. This gives evasion builds a much-needed backbone, significantly reducing the risk of getting one-shot by a stray projectile. We've added brand new talents to the mix too. Fury Fantasy converts excess ailment chance over the cap into additional ailment damage, synergizing directly with the new ailment system. And for the melee lovers, Storm's Command scales melee damage based on the number of unique Warcry effects active, rewarding aggressive, high-volume setups. Finally, let's take a look at the inverse images. Inverse images now roll with 1, 2, 3 temper affixes. Only temper affixes have variable ranges, while all other stats are fixed, making perfect rolls rare and extremely valuable. To support this, we've added a new recycling and reforging system that lets you break down low-quality drops for a chance to reroll and upgrade them. We're also constantly tuning the endgame experience in the Netherrealm to make your mapping sessions feel smoother and fairer. For the Vorex season, we've taken a hard look at resonance affixes that felt too punishing. We know there are certain map mods that can just break a run or unfairly one-shot you, so we've dialed back on the difficulty. For example, the affix that grants enemies additional damage against players at low life or low mana. Previously, this ramped up enemy damage by a massive 58%, which was often a death sentence. We have slashed that value down to 30%. This is a major improvement for players running low life and low mana builds, lowering the survival threshold in high pressure encounters and giving players more room to react and outplay the content. Now, let's address a major endgame pain point, the damage cap. We know the frustration. After weeks of min-maxing, you push deep space, stack compasses that boost monster health and rewards, and suddenly enemies feel like bullet sponges. When monster HP scales up to ultra high values, you hit a wall. The game's damage cap restricts your output, forcing you into long, dragged out fights. It interrupts the flow and, quite frankly, just doesn't feel good. In the Vorex season, we're making a major quality of life change. In certain content, monster HP will no longer scale to massive levels. Instead, that extra durability is being converted into damage mitigation. Effective toughness is going to be staying the same, but the actual HP is significantly reduced. This means builds that were previously hard capped can now deal more relative damage. For example, a monster with 50% damage mitigation effectively doubles the damage cap, letting high-end builds push much further. Tanky enemies like the Cube's Malice Judge, Arcana's Emperor, and security units in Outlaw will go down far faster doing regular farming. For true limit testers, pinnacle content like the Cage of Original Sin will still feature massive HP pulls to challenge your absolute DPS ceiling. But for everyday farming, the brick wall is going to be gone. Now next, let's talk loot, specifically ultimate memories. We want every ultimate drop to feel like a win. In the Vorex season, ultimate memories are receiving a major buff across the board, and will now be guaranteed to roll at least one tier 1 fixed affix, raising the baseline and ensuring a high tier foundation from the start.
Yes,
If
the
a drop still
prices
doesn't
will
have
drop.
great rolls, it won't be a complete dud because recycling returns have been increased tenfold. Scrapping an ultimate memory now yields 20 memory threads instead of 2, giving even unwanted drops real economic value. We've also streamlined the affix pool to make crafting smoother. Base affixes have been optimized to reduce clutter. For example, minion attack speed and minion cast speed have been merged into a single affix, removing dead stats, making it easier for summoners to find premium gear and increase versatility for everyone else. And talking about loot, we've made major improvements to fluorescent memories. Drop tables have been reweighed so that high value memories appear far more often. Expect to drop more valuable memories this season.
Fucking need Wukong.
We're also expanding target farming
Okay.
options for some of the rarest items in the game. 2 new memories, Exile Destiny and Calamity's Devotion, can now be collected and exchanged for powerful rewards.
Identified.
Undetermined Fate, and randomized priceless rings with cursed affixes. These changes give you more control over your grind and more ways to chase build-defining gear. Now, speaking of priceless rings, we know the emotional roller coaster. You hear the drop, you get really excited, and then you look at it and it's the wrong base. In Vorax, we're fixing that. The God of Machines talent constellation has been updated with a new ring type filter talent. If your build does not use certain ring types, you can disable them entirely,
What the fuck does
allowing you
that?
to target farm the exact base you need. We've also added a nearby talent that increases the base drop rate of priceless gear. Together, these changes solidify the God of Machines as a top tier option for high-end gear farming. Now, this approach is not limited to a single system. Similar improvements have been applied across many classic game modes. Let's jump over to God of Might. We've completely reworked the Ember drop system here. The talent constellation now lets you target farm specific Ember types based on their stage of progression. Early in the season, you can spec into nodes that prioritize precious and matchless embers, speeding up early crafting and getting builds online faster. Once your build can handle the heat, you can respec to increase difficulty and focus on ultimate embers, with a significantly higher drop rate than before. If you're chasing the best crafting materials in the game, God of Might is now the go-to destination. Now let's talk about the Destiny system. We heard the feedback. Since launch, popular Kismas have stayed extremely expensive, often locking build-defining options behind prices that most players can reasonably reach. To address the supply issue, Vorax introduces a new direct compass drop source. Completing tarot trials in the Netherrealm now has a chance to drop Arcana compasses directly. More compasses in circulation means more Kismet farming and an increased supply overall. The goal is to bring trade house prices down and to make finishing your build far more achievable without requiring excessive currency. But we didn't stop at just the big seasonal mechanics. We note that general, utility compasses often see wild price spikes or variations in the trade house, causing some serious supply and demand issues. To smooth this out, we've added a new series of drop-oriented talents specifically for these compasses within the Compass talent constellation. By speccing into these nodes, you can ensure a steady supply of these essentials. This should keep the market stable and ensure you always have the juice you need to run your maps efficiently. We've also optimized the compass recycling system. Recycling a compass now grants tokens of varying rarities, which can be exchanged for new compasses. This same system has been applied to the Frozen Canvas. We've seen a large market imbalance, where meta support skills are extremely expensive, while the off-meta ones are, practically worthless. It feels really bad to drop a high-tier item that has no value, simply because it isn't popular at the time. To address this, we're introducing an exclusive support skill recycle system. Unwanted support skills can now be scrapped into concepts, with higher tier skills yielding more concepts. These can then be exchanged at the trader for a random exclusive support skill, giving players another chance at a high value drop. Let's talk about your league start. We reviewed early game looting, especially from the God's chest from the Profound Talent constellation, and found rewards weren't living up to the expectations. In Vorax, these chests now drop significantly better loot, making it feel more worthwhile.
Give me another wind breath
But
with
the
a
bigger
good corrode,
change is
so I can build a whole
survivability.
build based on it.
We know early game builds can be a little squishy. In the past, if you died, you lost your accumulated stacks. It was really punishing. Now, in the Vorax season, dying no longer clears your accumulated stacks. You keep your progress, making the early game smoother, more forgiving, and far more convenient. We're also continuing to refresh classic mechanics with new twists in Vorax. The cube gets a new fortuitous cube compass. Slotting it as mini cubes to your maps. Interacting with them triggers instant encounters that can drop desired crystals, spawn elite packs, or reveal the new special boss, the Cube Goblin, with rewards worth chasing. Dark Surge is also getting a meaningful update. New talents in the Dark Surge constellation allow rare monsters from other mechanics to grant Dark Surge energy. This lets you layer Dark Surge alongside other systems, adding more flexibility when building your ideal looting strategy. Next up, Sandlord. We heard the feedback. Random raid events were triggering too frequently, breaking the flow of NetherRealm runs, and the rewards often didn't really, justify the interruption. This season, the frequency of the raid events has been significantly reduced, while the rewards for each event have been greatly increased. You'll encounter them less often, but when they do appear, the payoff will be worth stopping for. For endgame players pushing deep space, we're turning the difficulty up. A new NetherRealm resonance, the Deep Space Resonance, is now available. You can toggle it on before entering a stage. This mode converts salt modifiers into 9 high difficulty red mods.
What?
It's brutal, but the payoff matches the risk. Clear the stage and you'll earn a massive drop quantity bonus, making it one of the most rewarding farming options available. To support this playstyle, we've also updated the NetherRealm talent constellation. You can now invest directly into nodes that enable targeted, deep space resonance farming, keeping a steady supply of fuel as you push your build to its limits. To add more depth to deep space, we're introducing 4 new probes: Mechanical, Titan, Dull, and Bounty. Using these in deep space maps gives you a chance to spawn powerful enemies. Defeating these enemies doesn't just reward loot, it can unlock additional gameplay. For example, killing a Might Goblin can open a new God of Might trial directly inside your current map, effectively creating a map within a map. These probes drop exclusively from the Cage of Original Sin, giving Pinnacle content another valuable reward to chase. That just about wraps up the system updates. With Overrealm and Ethereal Prisms going core, major loot and endgame improvements, expanded classic mechanics, deeper deep space gameplay, and new recycling and exchange options, this season offers more and more ways than ever to earn rewards and build power. But behind all the flashy updates, there's that critical infrastructure that keeps everything running. For Vorax, we've upgraded many core systems to remove friction from your grind. First, UI. Remember those concept designs we showed you during TorchCon? They're finally here. This is the first phase of our UI overhaul. We've given a fresh coat of paint to the systems you use every single day. The main interface, the trade house, the inventory, the NetherRealm, and the skill system. Everything looks cleaner, sharper, and more modern. We've even refined every gear icon, so when a legendary drops, it actually looks legendary. Now we know UI changes can disrupt muscle memory, so layouts and interactions remain exactly where you expect them. They may look a little bit different, but nothing should feel unfamiliar. And it's not just the UI getting a glow up. We've revamped the default models for Carino, Gemma, and Rayhan. These legends are the heart of Torchlight, and they deserve to look the part. And it's not just the heroes. We've redesigned a massive number of monster models and overhauled combat effects. We want the visual feedback to be spectacular. When you cast a spell or land a crit, we want you to feel the impact. The battlefield is going to look more chaotic, more beautiful, and more visceral than ever before. If you're playing on PC, there's a new setting you should definitely check out: global lighting. Turn this on, and the game feels totally different. Skill effects, pet spirits, and even loot beams dynamically light the environment in real time, giving combat a completely different feel. Now, what you're seeing this season is just the very first step of our graphics overhaul, which will likely need several seasons to be fully implemented. We decided instead of holding back for one single massive update, we would rather deliver improvements incrementally season by season. So, after launch, we're going to be listening very closely to your feedback. This right now is just a foundation, and we're going to keep building upon it until we deliver the best visual experience possible. Now, on the technical side, we've also been hard at work optimizing core gameplay systems, starting with collision. We've read your feedback and we know how frustrating it feels when the engine works against you. Camera jitter and character shaking near map edges have largely been resolved. We also fixed the sluggishness you might have noticed when using mobility skills close to walls. No more invisible geometry. Just move fluid movement, so you can focus on fighting monsters, not the terrain. Now, we're not just refining physics and the game engine, we're refining the soul of the game. Heroes should feel like true companions, so we significantly expanded voice lines and added new dynamic triggers. Leading the charge is Cat-Eye Erika and her new Vendetta Sting trait. Between maps, she may share stories like the Bloody Odyssey Night, revealing how this legendary assassin made the nobles of the Midlands tremble.
We're not fighting some villain. We are fighting an empire.
But it's not just lore. The game now reacts to your actions. Complete key achievements and she'll respond, sometimes with a rare smile, sometimes sharing your frustration, adding a new layer of personality to your journey.
Wow, this is worth more than Arminius's head. We wait in the shadows for the dawn.
For mouse and keyboard players, especially on ranged builds, we know the wrist strain is real. To help, we've implemented a new auto-aim feature. Enable it in settings to reduce physical strain during long farming sessions. The Pro Build interface now clearly highlights any skills or supports you don't own, making it easier to understand why your build is missing. And that covers our major quality of life optimizations this season. We want TLI to feel better to play every day. We'll keep listening to your feedback and fixing the small stuff. Because at the end of the day, we really just want this to be the smoothest and most fun ARPG experience you can play. Next up, our new events. To celebrate the new year and as a thank you for your support, we've prepared a massive amount of events with respective rewards. The Dancing Dragon Festival includes a series of events, ranging from check-in to objective-based events. The rewards here are stacked. A legendary Battle Pack Spirit selection pack, 10 Battle Pack Spirit draws, the activation medium Motionless, a massive stack of tax vouchers for the trade house, and some truly exquisite back accessories. Oh, and don't forget, the first top-up double bonus has been reset. For every tier, your first top-up grants double primos. The Vorex season also offers a separate series of objective-based events for you to complete. Complete these missions to claim a total of 30 legendary Battle Pack Spirit draws. On top of these, you're also looking at rare season drop pack spirits, rare pack spirit upgrade emblems, exclusive weapon appearances, and more. For players looking to prove their mastery of the Netherrealm, special trophy awaits. Defeat Plane Watchers on Plane 6 within Profound Time Arc 8 to earn Conquest Insignias. Collect enough Insignias to exchange for General Rescale's signature weapon, conquering this season's toughest challenges. Oh, and speaking of conquering challenges, let's talk about the hardcore server. If you prefer the stress of having only one life, mark your calendars for February 12th. This 4-week period gives you enough time to learn the mechanics on the main server before you risk it all. At launch, we're going to be hosting an exclusive leaderboard event. Reach the top to earn the hardcore server exclusive Honor Portrait, the ultimate badge of survival. Next up, Pack Spirits. Intern Shelly, she's your drop pack spirit. She lets you refresh surgical instruments to feature high tier mods, and gives you a chance to double your Antidote Vial rewards. Kitty Express, perfect companion for Vendetta Sting. She grants massive attack damage and the attack aggression effects. Finally, let's take a look at all the new cosmetics, including this season's new Genderbender skin. Erika is getting the Glitchwalker skin, a full cybernetic overhaul. It comes with a hero outfit, a weapon skin, custom body effect, and a stunning new visual for her Vendetta Sting trait. Next up, Yoga gets the legendary transformation skin, the Stygian Bride. Drawing from the legend of Narcissus, she is captivated by her own reflection, summoning duplicates to fight alongside her in the frigid tides of the Styx. This includes a transformation appearance, a new Chain Lightning skin, and an exclusive portrait. We also have a new back accessory called Harmonic Rotation. This isn't just a static prop. As you kill enemies, it actually reacts, collecting light and switching between the solar and lunar forms. And finally, why should your hero be the only one who gets a new look? We're releasing a new cosmetic for the God of Might called Mountain Cleaving Force. When you equip this, the entire appearance of the trial changes. Experience the mechanic in a whole new light. From the all-new Vorax mechanic, Erika's new trait, to grafting, a mountain of quality of life updates, and her brand new UI. This season is gonna be absolutely packed. Now Vorax is right around the corner, coming January 15, and the team really pulled out all the stops for this one. We hope you'll enjoy it, and we can't wait to see you all on launch day. That's all for today, and we'll catch you all on the next one.
Well, I love those changes. Can't wait. Can't wait, actually. Very good. And now back to my IRL stuff. See y'all.